Every entrepreneur faces fear, whether it's fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. But here's the truth. The most successful entrepreneurs feel fear too. They've just learned how to move through it instead of being controlled by it. See, that's the key. Fear and doubt aren't part of the Fear and doubt are a part of the entrepreneurial journey. But if you don't learn how to manage them, they'll keep you stuck, overthinking, hesitating, and second guessing your every decision. Now today I'm going to show you how to recognize fear for what it really is, how to rewire your mindset to work with it instead of against it, and how to build unstoppable confidence as you grow your business. Hi, I'm Yvonne Bramble, a business and finance coach. I help entrepreneurs and small business owners scale to six figures with clear strategies, simple systems, and a powerful money mindset so that they can build profitable businesses that support their lifestyle and purpose. My clients go from feeling stuck and overwhelmed to leading their business with clarity and confidence. And I want that for you too. You know, when I first left my corporate job to start my business, fear followed me everywhere. I asked myself, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? I delayed launches, I undercharged for my services, and I compared myself to everybody else. It wasn't until I realized that fear wasn't a stop sign, it was just a signal that I was growing. And that, my friend, that mindset shifted everything. Once I learned to take action with fear, instead of waiting for it to disappear, that's when my business started taking off. And in this video, I'm sharing with you 3 business coaching tips on how entrepreneurs can overcome fear and doubt when building a business. So let's start with business coaching tip number 1, and that is understand the root of your fear. What's that root look like? Where's it coming from? You see, fear isn't the enemy, it's just information. It's your brain's way of trying to protect you from uncertainty. But in business, growth is uncertainty, okay? That's just the default, okay? If you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, you're just gonna feel fear and you've gotta move forward anyway, right? Because that's where the opportunity lives. When fear shows up, pause and ask yourself, what is this fear trying to protect me from? Maybe it's fear from judgment, fear of failure, or maybe fear of losing control. And once you name it, I'm feeling a certain kind of way. Where's this coming from? Where's this fear coming from? Why am I procrastinating? Why am I being so apprehensive? Why am I being so triggered? Right? That's where, or angry, right? Fear has a way of hiding behind these triggers, these emotions. But once you've been able to identify that, okay, that's why inner work is so important, so very important for entrepreneurs and business owners to take the time for us to do our inner work, because that's going to help us to identify these fears before it wreaks havoc and affects our ability to function, right? Procrastinating on a decision can really, really affect your business. And who knew, you know, if you did your inner work and sat with that and understood where that's coming from, that may be one of these fears, right? But once you name it, it loses its power. Then you're able to reframe it by asking, okay, what's the best thing that could happen if I do this anyway? What's the best thing? Write it down. Every time you face fear, acknowledge it, reframe it, and you know what? You're gonna act anyway. You're gonna move forward anyway. That's how you retrain your nervous system to feel safe in uncertainty. You know, I had a client who was terrified to raise her prices, but when we unpacked it, her fear wasn't about the money. It was about being judged for charging more. You see, once she understood that, we worked on reframing the fear into, hey, raising my prices allows me to serve from a higher level, right? And she raised her rates the next week, and her next 2 clients said yes immediately, okay? Because she was able to attract a different type of client once she became clear with her value. And what you want to do is feel the fear and move forward anyway. See, now that leads me to business coaching tip number 2, and that is take micro actions to build confidence. Okay, micro actions to build confidence. Confidence doesn't come before action. That's the thing. That's the rub, right? It comes from action. Once you take action, then you're confident. You see, the other day, just yesterday, we started gymnastics for the kids. And my kids are now 4 years old. And Luca, I noticed, came home. I spent time every night with the kids to read them bedtime stories, to talk to them, to see what's on their mind. I asked them, what's your favorite thing that happened today? And one thing, and this showed up a couple of weeks ago, is they were telling me that Luca was being bullied, that one kid was making fun of Luca, making fun of his lunch. And I was like, well, he just had mac and cheese, right? But he was essentially being bullied, and I can tell that Luca's feelings were hurt because this kid kept on hurting him and bullying him. And I says, okay, what can we do to build his confidence? And so they're in swimming, but I put them into this special program in gymnastics, and specifically for boys, because I know gymnastics a lot of times is more catered for girls and a lot of the ones in my local area, but it takes a little bit more to drive out of town. But this particular gymnastics focus on a broader demographic. So they have a specific class for little boys, for 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and 6-year-olds, and it's called Ironman. Okay, and I thought that was the cutest thing, and so I signed him up for that. And of course, I signed Gianna up for another class that's happening at the same time, but in a different group. And so, because I know intuitively, and yesterday over dinner, I told my husband, I says, by the time the child comes home and tells you that they've been bullied, it's almost like too late. Like it's already happened, they've been bullied. I said, what we want to do is, instead of being reactive, we want to be proactive and build his confidence. Because if he builds his confidence, kids can sense energy. They can sense energy, and they can sense, oh, this is a kid that could be bullied, because, he's carrying that type of energy of maybe low confidence or anything like that. I said, we want to lower the chances of him being bullied in school. We've got to get him to feel confident. And I figured, and it was amazing. He was, at 4 years old, they were doing little pull-ups. He's, tumbling, and he's doing all these fun little bear crawls and all this with his friends. And he had such an amazing time. He just lit up, right? So I know that as we continue with these activities, he's going to build confidence. So if and when a kid tries to, bully him, he's going to be confident enough to be able to say what he needs to say to stop that, right? And his energy is going to be in a completely different space, right? So what's my point? My point is, confidence doesn't come before action, right? It comes from action. Right? So I know that as he's doing this gymnastics, as he's seeing that his body can move a certain ways, as he's moving forward and challenging himself, he's gaining confidence from these activities, right? And so when issues come up, when problems come up, and they will, he'll be able to face them from a different purview, from a much higher perspective. Does that make sense? So this happens in everything in life, for a 4-year-old or for an entrepreneur and small business owner running their business, right? And, when you have small kids, everything they come into the story too, right? So at the end of the day, we build our confidence through action. So when problems come, and they we'll be in a different, higher perspective to be able to deal with them, because we've built muscle, right? So every time you take a step, no matter how small, your brain is collecting proof that you can trust yourself. So that's what you want to do. You want to start small. Make one move today that feels slightly uncomfortable but aligned. It might not be a gymnastics class or Ironman class. It could be something else. Maybe it's getting a coach, right? Or investing in your education. Right? And I heard someone say this, I think this was on Instagram or TikTok, that if the cost of something is too much for you, think of the price you're going to have to pay, right, for not being, having the skill set, right? So I know I botched it, but at the end of the day, it was pretty much like, look, if you think this is going to cost you, think of the price you're going to pay, right, for not having that knowledge, for not having that understanding, right? So with a coach or having an education program, that can get you light years away. I mean, this is a coach that has experience that can help you from struggling. You might be hesitant over the cost of something, but the price you're going to have to pay for 2 years of learning the hard way, is it worth it? At the end of the day, what I'm saying is maybe getting a coach or investing in your education by getting a course is going to compress the time frame that would have taken you 2 years to achieve, and you can get the results now or within days, right? So you want to start small with small wins. Do something that might be a little uncomfortable, maybe pitching to a client or raising your price, right? And celebrate these small steps, because each small win builds a new identity, someone who acts in spite of fear, okay? When you expose yourself to these new activities, you're facing your fear, right? And that's giving you this new, stronger identity, someone who's going to act in spite of fear, okay? And you're proving to yourself that you can do it, and then you gain more and more trust in yourself. That's what confidence is. At the end of the day, confidence is trusting in yourself, right? So fear fades through repetition, right? So not avoidance. Even being in front of this camera, in the beginning, I was very fearful. I was apprehensive, I was unsure, I was not confident. But I knew that the more reps I did, right, the more push-ups I did, the more I faced the camera, and I knew that in time, the fear would fade, and then I would get better. You see, so just like in business as well, keep repeating, keep pushing through, keep trying new marketing campaigns, new ads, right? Experiment with posts. And the fear is going to fade, and then you're going to gain experience, right? Don't avoid it. One of my clients had a massive anxiety about showing up on camera, and we set a goal for her to record one 60-second video a day. No posting, just practice. And by the end of 3 weeks, she was confident enough to go live on Instagram. And that video brought her 2 new clients within days. And she told me, I didn't lose the fear, I just learned to move faster than the fear. You see, sometimes the fear doesn't go away, or it takes longer, but you do it in spite of it. And then you gain the confidence that helps you to continue to show up. And with experience, the fear fades away. Okay? That leads me to business coaching tip number 3. Surround yourself with confidence energy. You see, you become what you're surrounded by. So if you spend time around fear-based thinkers, you're going to shrink. Fear-based thinkers, people that are in their victim mindset, what do you think is going to happen? Right? But if you spend time around expanders, people who believe bigger, people that are also entrepreneurs, that are also small business owners, that are also facing these fears day in, day out, guess what? You're going to rise to match their energy. So you want to create an inner circle of courage. Connect with mentors and coaches, communities, right? Or business friends who normalize success and action. You want to protect your energy by limiting conversations with people who project doubt, victim mentality, or fear. You see, every entrepreneur needs an environment that reminds them of what's possible when fear tries to convince them otherwise. I had a client who kept second-guessing her business because her friends didn't understand entrepreneurship. They were like, oh, well, just go back to getting a job. Go, it's safer, right? It's more secure. Well, she joined a small business mastermind where everyone was pursuing growth, and within a month, her confidence exploded. She started calling herself a CEO for the first time and signed her highest paid client ever. And that's the power of surrounding yourself with belief. Now, Now let's take these coaching tips and put them into practice. Remember, knowledge only becomes power when you take action. So here's your action step. I want you to identify one fear that's been holding you back this week. Okay? Identify one fear, write it down. Name it. Okay? And this might take some time. If you can't think of a fear, think of a trigger, right? Procrastination, stress, overwhelm. A lot of times fear is undercover, right? Beneath those feelings. Write it down, name that fear, and take one small action in the opposite direction. Okay? So you don't need to eliminate fear. You just need to prove to yourself that it doesn't control you. Okay? And that can be starting a new marketing campaign, raising your prices, right? Reaching out to clients, a new outreach program, right? That you're not comfortable or familiar with, a networking group to expand your opportunities, anything. Now, if you need help with any one of these concepts that I shared with you today, or any other area in your business, feel free to click on the link below to book a private one-on-one business coaching call with me. I do have limited spots available, so go ahead and if this is resonating with you, do not hesitate to go ahead and book that, and I'll see you on the other side, and we can talk through your unique situation and how I can help and support you on your journey. Okay? So now let's recap. Fear and doubt are signals of growth, not signals of failure. So when you learn to understand them, act in spite of them, and surround yourself with belief. Then it's gonna stop being a roadblock. Now, inside my Financial Freedom Accelerator Academy, I'll help you break through fear, master your money mindset, and confidently grow your business with clarity and flow. The link is in the description box below. Click to enroll in the Financial Freedom Accelerator Academy. So thanks for watching. If you got value from this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who will benefit from this business coaching. It will help the YouTube algorithm to pick this video up and share with other like-minded entrepreneurs and small business owners. And it just takes a second to click the like button. I would really appreciate that. That adds a lot of value to this channel. Now, if you've ever struggled to stay motivated when entrepreneurship gets hard, you won't want to miss this next video. How to stay motivated as an entrepreneur when business gets hard. Of course, click here to watch, and I'll see you on the next video. Oceans of love. Till next time, my friend.